Lionel Messi just keeps breaking football by Raymar Football, my YouTube football goat. Like, share, subscribe, enjoy it.
At 38 years old, turning 39 in a week, Lionel Messi is not supposed to still be that good. Because in Argentina's opener against Algeria, Lionel Messi dropped a hat-trick, becoming the oldest player in World Cup history to ever do that, even breaking the record that Cristiano Ronaldo once set. But not only that, he also tied Miroslav Klose's all-time World Cup goal-scoring record in the same night. But for most people, I'd imagine this was either a complete surprise or completely expected. Because on one hand, the man is basically 39 years old, but on the other hand, Messi has still been an incredible...
I was just worried about his fitness and his injury and praying every second that he's not injured. The hat-trick, I never thought of this. Just a goal, just him playing and Argentina winning would be enough for me. I don't care about stats.
Incredible form.
After 2022, I don't care about nothing, just enjoying him.
The same form that helped him become the first back-to-back MVP in MLS history, leading the entire league in both goals and assists. The man who won Inter Miami their first MLS Cup ever. It's what most teams are expecting or simply hoping.
Took the worst MLS side to the top.
That he slows down. Messi just hasn't, and Algeria witnessed this firsthand. But I gotta say, the Algerian defense was no threat at all. That being said, however, it perfectly shows why you can't give Messi any space or even give him a full 2 seconds to react. Because in this match, Messi showed a bit of everything. Turning and shooting the ball from range, intelligently make a run for the box and rebound a loose ball, and still shoot and aim from the tightest of angles. But that's what happens when Argentina's plan is to just let Messi be dangerous. That's why you might think I'm crazy, but it's possible that this 2026 Argentina...
He knows the good sides left in him because he can no more dribble past 10 players and run for 120 minutes every 3 days or something. No, he knows where he's good at. He drops a lot deep to dictate every single build-up by Argentina. And they play him on his good side. He plays them on their good side. And it's just, Lionel Scaloni has created a monster, saved Leo's career.
Argentina World Cup squad might be even more dangerous than the one that won the 2022 World Cup. Let me explain. Of course, the 2022 team was peak cinema. Messi finally won the World Cup. And the heartbreak they had in 2014 was dissolved in the 90 minutes of what was arguably the greatest World Cup final of all time. And what's different for Messi this time around compared to the last World Cup is that now simply he doesn't have pressure. He's already won it all. And at 39 years old, he just needs to be out there and do what he does best. Be an absolute magician on the ball. And that is a huge reason why I think this 2026 Argentina squad is just on a whole nother level of even more dangerous than the one that won the 2022 World Cup. Argentina under Scaloni has turned into an absolute machine. Argentina are ranked number 1 in the FIFA World Rankings, and perhaps the biggest factor of all is that even though he's older, Lionel Messi no longer has to play under pressure. And that freedom that now allows him to just focus on being creative is going to make the entire Argentinian attack a huge problem. And the new level of freedom that he's going to have on the pitch is just going to completely unlock this entire Argentinian squad as a whole. And now not only is the entire organization and country itself trying their very hardest to play for and support Messi, they're going to be there to help cement his legacy to an even higher level. They're going to be there to help him break football in a way it's never been done before. And don't just take my word for it. You have to witness it yourself with your own eyes. But back to how Messi just keeps on breaking football. For a few years now, you've probably seen the argument. People criticizing the MLS for its lack of quality. And while I do have to say that's kind of valid, at the same time it's kind of a...
It is. Hands down. But he joined the worst team. The worst team.
Allowed Messi to adapt his game. Basically, for Messi, the entire MLS is just a training session. He was setting MLS records left and right, And while you no longer see him running through an entire half and scoring a solo goal, Messi is basically just taking shots and
but he wants to do that. He could have explored a way to stay in Europe. He didn't want to.
trying out new things that he normally wouldn't have risked in, say, a Champions League match.
Bro is human, normal, and greed is not part of his life. This guy is the perfect role model. There is no better mentality in football than him. And I have not seen better mentality, period.
And while his agility and speed is past its prime, I would argue that his creativity is probably at...
I do not know what his ankles and knees are made of. I don't. Maybe something inhumane.
one of the best we've ever seen. And what's funny is that against Algeria and even in the MLS, I noticed because Messi is older, a lot of people are backing off him, giving him space to move and giving him time to make decisions. But that's actually incredibly counterintuitive, because with Messi, you genuinely have to pick your poison. If you give him space, best believe he's going to make a pass or he's going to attempt to dribble. And when he gets going, despite his age, his touch and control still makes it incredibly difficult to take the ball from him. That's why, on the other hand, when you press him too hard, you already know Messi is going to feint, take time away from the press, then make the right pass, whether it be to an open teammate or a through ball that nobody saw coming. That's why basically at 39 years old, Messi makes opponents forget, even briefly, that they're supposed to be trying to stop him. That's what happens when the opposition doubts his age and his ability, and that just makes the entire Argentinian squad around him all the more dangerous. Now, Messi does turn 39 midway through the tournament, and although we're not going to see Messi carry the same attacking load he did in the last World Cup, we're going to see him take on a much more orchestrating role. And although I don't expect him to press, the rest of the Argentinian squad will definitely make sure to try and fill that gap for him. Messi is still incredibly dangerous when given the ball in open play. If he's not picked up quickly, he is going to make a very good progressive pass. And I'm fully expecting Lautaro Martinez and Julian Alvarez to absolutely eat, as Messi drags in defensive attention and simply slides the ball to them in open space. But anyways, let's look at the actual tactics, because the formations that Scaloni has built has been incredibly liquid. He lets his Argentina squad play incredibly flexible. However, mainly, he'll stick between either a 4-3-3, a 4-2-3-1, and at some parts of the match, even a 4-1-4-1, depending on what Argentina needs to do. Yeah, technically you could say it's a 4-3-3, but it's an incredibly loose and dynamic one, because how he's conditioned Argentina to play is incredibly...
Sometimes it's even 4-4-2. 4-4-1-1.
reactive, and this really stems from their midfield in Enzo and McAllister. These two basically link to form the base of Argentina's possession game. Then you have a jack of all trades like DePaul, and though I wouldn't exactly say he's incredible at doing any single thing, for Argentina, he's
running. He is very good at running. He is what anyone would want at that age to be, running.
a dog, running around and doing whatever the team needs, whether it's aggressive pressing, bus parking.
He's extremely good. He's 50 out of 10 at running. That's half of what an athlete should be.
Or even exhausting himself running around to be an open outlet. And when Argentina does start pressing high, Julian Alvarez starts as the first defender, and I would say he's one of the better pressing strikers in the world. As for Argentina, he has been known to press opposing center backs, causing them to rush and make bad choices or poor passes. And no matter what you think of the guy, you gotta admit, Alvarez does have an admirable work rate. However, when Argentina don't need a press, or maybe their press just isn't working, instead what they'll do is overload their midfield, bringing guys in and pushing guys out to extend their possession to the wide corners. And while this might not be an ideal play style to score goals, if they're patient enough, it unlocks the opposition. But what it's really for is being more defensive. And they would use this exact style, allowing them to only concede 10 goals in 18 CONMEBOL matches. That's an average of 0.56 goals conceded per game. For context, France conceded 4 of their last 6 European qualifying matches. And I know, context does matter a lot. You might argue that the countries that France faced were a lot tougher, but to
a lot tougher.
play devil's advocate, I also might argue with you that in South America they play a lot more aggressive and attack.
True. But still, the opposition is a lot tougher that France faced in those games.
Minded, making defending and maintaining clean sheets generally a lot harder. But we're going to have to be honest here and assess Argentina's biggest concern, and that is probably their individual midfield personnel. And the most important one is going to have to be Enzo Fernandez. And with Cole Palmer missing a lot of matches for Chelsea throughout the season, Enzo was kind of forced to play a hybrid attacking role. Sometimes play the role of an 8 or maybe even a 10, but usually for Chelsea, he was the conductor. Granted, yeah, Chelsea were really bad last season, but oftentimes Enzo had to be responsible for the first pass into the press and every other second ball when possession broke down, which for Chelsea was a lot. And honestly, that's an enormous amount of responsibility for one player. But he fought it out through 36 matches, even managing to score 10 goals and provide 5 assists. And in Argentina for qualifiers when Messi was out, Enzo often stepped up, and he did a pretty good job. But when we go down the list,
he can play a 6 and 8 and 10. I mean, I have no problem him playing, all 3 roles when needed. But he's fine playing a 6. And he played an 8. He played an 8 against Algeria.
It kind of gets a lot more weak. But
and a 6, hybrid.
Next up, when we talk about McAllister,
don't talk to me how bad his season is. Everyone at Liverpool had bad season except Hugo and Dominic. This guy, did you watch him against Algeria? Did you watch him playing for Argentina throughout the season? Yeah. I just hope his fitness is 100%.
He didn't exactly...
Did you watch him against Algeria?
Have a good season. Liverpool were not all that much better than Chelsea were. And a lot of people think he had a dramatic step down, arguably having his worst season at the club to date. He was honestly struggling to find form, only providing 2 goals and 4 assists in 37 matches. So I'm not going to sit here and glaze McAllister. But what I will say is that international football suits his playstyle way more than Arne Slot's system ever did. Scaloni makes McAllister receive under pressure and play forward quickly. The same qualities that made him exceptional at Brighton and eventually got him signed into Liverpool in the first place. Then you have the enforcer on the midfield, and that is Rodrigo de Paul. Yeah, going from Atletico Madrid to Inter Miami is quite a journey. But let's be honest here, as a midfielder, de Paul is a pit bull. He's physical, relentlessly presses, and plays however his teammates or manager asks him to, especially when it comes to defending. Duels, even the occasional creative passing. He can thrive both in chaos or when
occasional creative passing, yeah, like the assist for the first goal.
Things are going Argentina's way, and that is a huge boost to the overall Argentinian midfield. Now you might think, honestly, Argentina's midfield is not all that interesting.
To me it is.
Individually, honestly, yeah, I'd have to agree. But here's the thing about the Argentinian midfield. When they play for their country and when they play alongside Messi, somehow they just kind of get a buff and start playing the best and hardest they've ever played, much more than they ever would for their respective clubs. And that's just something that you can't quantify, because when playing for Argentina, they will give the extra push and overall just have a lot more confidence and fire in their game. And that boost alone is enough to keep them competitive. But honestly, perhaps the biggest wildcard in Argentina's midfield is the youngest one on there, because 21-year-old Nico Paz is actually turning into sort of a young maestro. His spatial intelligence and half-space awareness is very elite for his age, and watching him play, he's very comfortable drifting into pockets between midfielders and the defense, turning quickly, distributing the ball, and starting the counterattack. And he was actually a huge factor in helping Como reach the top 4 of Serie A, providing 15 goal contributions in 35 matches. I mean, there's a reason why this 21-year-old was named the Serie A's best midfielder last season. When used, he will give Argentina a lot of attacking creativity, and he's probably one of the more exciting players to watch on the squad. Now, let's look at Argentina's attack, because this is where 2022 versus 2026 actually gets interesting. In the last World Cup, most of the concern about Argentina's attack was always the same. What happens if Messi has a quiet game? Now, that worry has become a lot less, especially with the rise of Lautaro Martinez. He just won his second Serie A top goal scorer title, with 17 goals and 30 appearances for Inter Milan, also winning the Scudetto and being named the best forward in Italy last season. And only 4 players in Inter Milan history have won the top scorer award twice, and only 1 of 2 players to ever do it when Inter also won the league title. Martinez is arriving at the World Cup not only off the back of a decent season, he's arriving in this World Cup in probably the best form he's ever been. And perhaps the biggest direct concern for the attack is who's going to be the starting striker. Right now, I'm assuming Scaloni is most likely going to use Lautaro Martinez. But knowing
Lautaro and Julian is a good problem to have in the striker position. 2 of the best strikers in the world.
when to use one or the other is going to be imperative, especially depending on who their opponents might be. For example, Lautaro Martinez with Messi.
Both have no ego and run.
is going to be a huge goal-scoring threat. Lautaro roams around in different spaces and come at you and score goals from all different angles. While Julian Alvarez, on the other hand, is more direct and is by far the best option when it comes to facing a heavy possession team. So not only does Argentina have a direct goal-scoring threat on all sides, but they also have options and flexibility. And although Di Maria has retired and will be severely missed by the squad, while I don't think Thiago Almada will be even close to filling his shoes, I'm expecting him to hustle hard, whether that be pressing hard, constantly moving into open space, or simply giving Messi and the other midfielders an easier time by being an outlet. But let's look at what actually won Argentina their last World Cup: their defense. And at goal, that starting position is without a doubt going to be Emiliano Martinez. Yeah, you all remember his insane save in the World Cup final, but even recently, Martinez has kept 14 clean sheets,
Europa League champion, let's go,
across Argentina's last 23 matches in all competitions. His presence in goal is not only the best option, him being at goal represents something for this Argentina squad. And again, that boosted morale is just something that stats can't quantify. But I'm not just yapping and saying they're in good hands because of Emiliano Martinez. That's also thanks to their incredible defensive lineup. Because in front of Martinez are guys like Christian Romero, Nicolas Otamendi, and Lisandro Martinez. Because this defensive organization finished CONMEBOL qualifying with the best record on the continent. And this core Argentinian squad has led to 4 trophies in 5 years: Copa America 2021, Finalissima 2022, the 2022 World Cup, and the 2024 Copa America. And really, Scaloni brings everything together. He knows how to manage Messi's minutes carefully across the tournament, especially keeping him fresher than anyone expected for the later stages. He makes players feel trusted in their roles, and probably the most important factor of all is that he always stays calm. So whenever Argentina do find themselves behind or finding it hard to score goals, with their manager calm and composed, with all the success they've had, they all know it's never over until the final whistle. So this 2026 Argentina squad arrives without the weight of expectations. They have already proven themselves. They have come back from impossible odds. They're able to play freely, and they are definitely hungry for more. So really, Argentina's biggest threat are themselves, because they are the #1 ranked nation in the world, and this tournament really is theirs for the taking. So it's all going to depend really on how much they want it.
beautiful video. Can't wait for the next game.